This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.
And now, here's a word from our sponsor.
Spartacus Coffee is made for and made by hustlers, entrepreneurs, peak athletes, self-starters, and free thinkers. Our community of coffee drinkers believe in lifting each other up to be the best version of ourselves we can be. On top of that, every sale goes to the nonprofit organization No Kid Hungry, a national effort to end childhood hunger in America. To learn more about that and order some of the best, richest coffee you can find at an affordable price, go to SpartacusCoffee.com and be sure to use my promo code. It's pretty simple. It's JBurke, which is JAYBURKE, and get 10% off your first order. Remember, Spartacus Coffee. We fuel the grind, we fuel the success, we fuel champions. We are Spartacus.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
TikTok is where Gen Z goes to share everything from lip-syncing challenges to glitches in the Matrix. It's also where the kids go to get their news. Hot takes on the ground from people who look like themselves, speak like they speak, and care about the issues that are important to them. But the US government perceives TikTok through an entirely different prism. These captivating videos are not seen as just innocuous entertainment, but as components of a larger narrative, wherein TikTok could serve as a conduit for China's expansion of its influence west. The short of it, on Saturday, April 20th... Wait a second. Wait, Congress went in to work on a Saturday? Do you know how hard it is to get Congress to work on a fucking weekday? They went in on a Saturday? A Saturday. So they passed a bill for $95 billion on a Saturday that gave $0 to the American public? Zero. Your healthcare is still fucked up. Hey, if you owe Sally Mae, you better pay them because that's never getting fixed. But hey, if you got an axe to grind with TikTok and a couple countries are short on military arsenal to bomb the shit out of each other, we'll work all night. We would have worked all night through Sunday to get that done. I'm sorry, I digress. I meant what I was just trying to say was that on a Saturday, the U.S. House of Freudian slip, Representatives approved a bill that could slam the brakes on one of the most popular apps in America. By Tuesday, the 23rd, the Senate passed this bill, $95 billion in foreign aid, that demands ByteDance, the Chinese parent company of TikTok, to sell the app within 9 months as opposed to before where it was 6, or face the prospect of a total ban. And on the very next day, on Wednesday the 24th, the President of the United States, Joe Biden, moved quicker than he has in like 30 years to sign this bill. It's another swing at TikTok, the social media juggernaut with 170 million users, in what started as a tech crackdown and turned into a high-stakes game of chess with national security, foreign aid, and digital freedom all on the board. The legislation doesn't explicitly ban TikTok. Instead, it crafts a Herculean effort of ripping TikTok out of ByteDance's arms in just 9 months. This isn't just a challenge, it's a mad dash with a ticking time bomb, highlighting both the complexity and the breakneck pace required to pull off this corporate Houdini act. TikTok is valued at an astounding $100 billion. That's the last evaluation. I have no clue if it's went up with all this shit. But this deal is far from ordinary. It ranks among the most significant in tech history, comparable to the AOL-Time Warner merger of 2000, which, valued at $182 billion, took a year to finalize, devoid of the current geopolitical strains and digital intricacies. Now, it might be tempting to dismiss this as just another fleeting news item amid the barrage of political rhetoric, celebrity gaffes, or the seemingly endless succession of crises we see. But this moment for TikTok is far from a mere story. It unfolds more like a saga. In a world where tech behemoths battle for control over the digital realm, competing for data and authority, we see governments wrestling with outdated reactions while the wealthy and influential sharpen their tactics at the prospect of profit. What we all seemingly gloss over is that we're caught in an epic struggle to define our digital identity, journeying through a narrative filled with power struggles, privacy concerns, and an unending pursuit of control in the endless expanse of the digital cosmos. TikTok plans to have its day in court, arguing that this violates the U.S. Constitution and suppresses free speech. Now, Joe Biden got his Ukraine aid, and Congress snuck away more money to Israel. But is the president and this Congress about to galvanize the youth who haven't exactly been known for voting in numbers? But with things like abortion and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, student debt, and the fact that nobody can buy a house for less than $1.5 billion, are they sure business as usual is smart when they're on such shaky ground already? If you think the dust is settling, that may have been just a deceptive calm, because where we may be finding ourselves right now is in the calm eye of the hurricane.
We directed them to change the source code.
Like what we are about to be banned. The UK government has just changed its stance to remove US efforts to ban TikTok. I'm in China now, and it matters.
They put it into this larger bill that Democrats in the Senate were desperate to pass.
User data.
A fleeting pause amidst the waiting, and now that tumultuous storm that encircles us relentlessly is closing in. But find out for yourself in an episode I'm calling The TikTok Conundrum. Part 1, Cyber Wars, Tech Revolts, and a Regulatory Ragnarok.
Wait.
It won't always be a straight line.
It won't always be a straight line.
It won't always be a straight line.
But take the journey.
Take the journey.
Take the journey.
Escape a while for thoughtful excursions
Into the world of ideas across media,
politics, technology,
Pop culture.
and all realms of civic life. Take the journey.
Take the journey.
Take the journey.
Take the journey. Take the journey.
Take the journey.
You're listening to The With Jay Burke Show. Now, you don't need to be glued to CNN all day or have a Politico subscription to get that American politics feels more like a demolition derby than anything resembling governance. It's not just the talking heads on MSNBC or the spin doctors at Fox News who keep reminding us that the word gridlock and dysfunction are now as common in the lexicon as lunch or Netflix. It's become part of the vernacular, a universal shorthand for why nothing seems to work quite right anymore. And this isn't just some abstract beltway drama. It's the kind of stuff that's turning Thanksgiving dinners into Cold War era summits and neighborhood barbecues into silent standoffs. A recent slew of polls confirms what everybody already feels in their gut. Over half of Americans say their family gatherings now double as proxy battles for Capitol Hill squabbles. This isn't just about disagreeing over tax policy or healthcare anymore. It's about watching Aunt Linda and Uncle Joe go head-to-head over the soul of the nation, right in between passing the mashed potatoes and the gravy boat. And it's not just families. This rift runs through friendships and cubicles, too. The personal is not only political, it's perilously divisive, shredding the social fabric one heated group chat at a time. Meanwhile, back in Congress, most of the time it's like a perverse game of reverse Jenga. Each lawmaker pushing the boundaries not to build something sturdy and lasting, but rather to ensure they're the one who knocks the whole edifice down from the bottom. This isn't governance. It's an extreme sport where the only medals handed out are for survival, not achievement. But if it's branded with a TikTok logo, something changes. A metamorphosis happens. About a year ago, a rare spectacle of unity flickered to life when both sides of the aisle grilled TikTok CEO Xiao Chu. I have no clue how to say that. On his app's Chinese affiliations. Suddenly, senators who couldn't agree on the color of the sky found common ground in their mistrust of this digital giant. This unexpected camaraderie spurred what some backroom strategists called the Thunder Run. Thunder Run! The Thunder Run is this most recent legislative blitz that shot a highly controversial bill across the congressional finish line to the president's desk in breakneck speed. In the slow dance of Washington politics, that's basically a warp speed maneuver. Now, in a statement, Alex Urick, I have no clue if I said that right. I think I did. We'll ask him. I'm sure he'll be happy that I was talking about him. All right, so Alex Urick, the TikTok spokesman, said that this bill was crafted in secret, rushed through the House, and ultimately passed as part of a larger must-pass bill exactly because it is a ban that Americans will find objectionable. Well, I have to be honest, the entire bill that was fast-tracked, I think a lot of Americans would find a lot of things in here objectionable. But cherry-picking things that certain Americans want and other Americans prioritize and then putting them all into one, well, that's a classic move by lawmakers, but it leaves a lot of questions that go unanswered. In essence, the vote was just the latest development in a years-long Cold War between the United States and China. The vote, just a flare-up in an ongoing techno-Cold War, the kind where the weapons are not ballistic missiles, but silicon chips and AI algorithms. It's the U.S. versus China in a battle for the digital high ground. And the recent fuss over TikTok is like a real-time strategy game with higher stakes. Lawmakers and folks in the White House worry that TikTok's Chinese overlords might turn the app into a backdoor spy tool for Beijing to scoop up American data or shovel propaganda into our feeds. And it's not just paranoia for paranoia's sake. There is this gnawing fear that the Chinese government might just snap its fingers and ByteDance will hand over Americans' data on a silver platter. Because, hey, that's what their law over there demands they do. So let's not be naive about China's MO. This is a place famous for its heavy hand on the censors button and its talent for making troublesome truths vanish. It's a routine that's played out in countless episodes, but what might be more frightening is that big corporate honchos with their eyes glued on stock tickers or possible entertainment deals conveniently forget all about democracy when their bottom line, well, is on the line. I'm going to point to 3 incidents out of many I could have chosen. But number 1 is the NBA incident. The NBA incident refers to a situation in October 2019 involving Daryl Morey, who was then the general manager of the Houston Rockets basketball team. Morey tweeted support for the Hong Kong protests, which were demonstrations in Hong Kong against proposed extradition laws that many feared would erode the region's autonomy and eat away at citizens' rights. His tweet, which read, "Fight for freedom, stand with Hong Kong," quickly sparked a major controversy. China's response to Morey's tweet was swift and severe. The Chinese Basketball Association, state broadcasters, and other partners in China suspended ties with the Houston Rockets. Morey got himself denounced by the Chinese consulate and by the owner of his own team. His tweet was deleted. The Chinese Basketball Association announced that it was suspending all cooperation with the Rockets. All right, so even LeBron James, that fucking guy, made a statement before a game saying,
I don't believe, I don't want to get into a word or sentence feud with Daryl Morey, but I believe he wasn't educated on the situation at hand, and he spoke, and so many people could have been harmed, not only financially but physically, emotionally, spiritually.
He continued,
"Just be careful what we tweet and we say and what we do. Even though yes, we do have freedom of speech, but there can be a lot of negative that comes with that too."
But there can be a lot of negative that comes with that too. How do you guys even argue that he was even sniffs Jordan's underwear? It's ridiculous. Your fucking debates are ridiculous. But anyway, that's a talk for another day. Morey was made to apologize, and the NBA put out a statement characterizing his tweet as regrettable and clarifying that his support for Hong Kong protesters does not represent the Rockets or the NBA. The Rockets reportedly considered firing Morey in an effort to appease the Chinese. Number 2 is the Marriott incident in January of 2018. The Marriott incident highlights the challenges international companies face in respecting China's territorial claims while maintaining global business operations. See, Marriott International faced backlash after listing Tibet as a separate country in an online survey, along with Hong Kong and Taiwan, regions China views as inseparable parts of its own territory. But the controversy intensified when a Marriott employee liked a tweet supporting Tibetan independence, leading to his dismissal after China's sharp criticism. Just a little side note, because I had to trim that shit down. That employee was a social media manager who made like $18 an hour or something. He basically just liked a tweet. He said he didn't really know about the whole Tibetan independence movement, but he figured independence was, a good thing since we live in an independent country who talks about independence elsewhere. Yes, so they fired him, which underscores the tightrope that global businesses must walk in navigating China's censorship and sovereignty issues. The problem is this is often at the expense of individual expression and international norms. And then third and final, there's been TikTok's censorship issues. There's a long list here, but let's just say this. TikTok, who's known for its vibrant and creative content, has been embroiled in a lot of censorship controversies, particularly regarding topics sensitive to China. Despite being known for its role in amplifying social movements like the Black Lives Matter movement, the platform has faced accusations of suppressing content related to social justice campaigns and discussions that are critical of China's human rights practices, including videos that show support or engage in the history of the Tiananmen Square massacre. The censorship seen on TikTok isn't just limited to one place or one topic. It's a part of a bigger problem that hints at how much control the Chinese government might have over what's shown in the app. This is worrying because it could lead to the spread of propaganda and silencing people who disagree, affecting millions of users, especially young people in America. As TikTok tries to work worldwide but also keep China happy, finding the right balance between running independently and supporting free speech is a huge challenge. How TikTok decides what content is allowed affects not only its users, but also starts bigger discussions about who controls digital spaces, our right to speak freely, and how tech companies play a big part in protecting these rights. Unfortunately, there's solid skepticism that has been bolstered by China's track record with these tech giants. But just to be clear, there is another side to that story. And I'm not under any illusion that the U.S. is flawless in its habit of sticking its nose into other nations' business. However, I think I can argue that any country has the right to use its own laws to shield itself. Aiming for a bit of that self-determination gig. With that said, the real question hanging in the air is, what kind of shield do we actually get from what was once called the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary Controlled Applications Act. That's a weird acronym. You know how they love that shit? That would be PFACA? PFACA. Now, in looking at the bill, and it has hardly changed. Actually, it hasn't changed. Just the number of days that TikTok is going to be able to sell the app, which was originally 6 months, which is fucking nuts, to 9 months, with a little kicker that the president can extend it another 3 months. So that being said, after years of debate and stops and starts, calling
to ban or not to ban, that is the question.
It seems the answer to this has been all along divestiture. Divestiture. You know, divestiture. Hold on. What's a divestiture?
Interesting English words. Divestiture, the action or process of selling off subsidiary business interests or investments.
Let's cut through the dictionary definitions and get down to what a divestiture really is. It's a corporate yard sale where companies hawk parts of their empire they no longer want, need, or legally can keep. Sometimes it's about shedding the old skin to emerge sleeker, more focused. Other times, it's about dodging the regulatory bullet. But here's the kicker. It's not just about dumping assets like a hot potato. It's a calculated move, a chess game where each piece sold off has to fit the grand strategy or appease the regulatory gods. But TikTok's position is kind of at odds with this. The digital juggernaut caught in the crosshairs of a national security debate for years has resulted in a divestiture, which is just a fancy term for saying, let's sell this thing off to someone who won't give Washington night sweats.
It makes me nervous.
It's a clever strategy to maintain TikTok's presence in the U.S. market without triggering the regulatory concerns, all under the supervision of a new, domestically based overseer. However, changing the ringmaster doesn't necessarily mean the circus has packed up and left.
And now for my next trick. I'll make TikTok disappear, Doc. Now, wait just a minute. Or we could sell it to a despicable American firm who abuse their trust and sell all their data. We'll make a killing, Doc. Stock options and thrift style, motherfucker.
In other words, is it truly safer to entrust TikTok to private investors who may be just as eager to exploit Americans' online privacy, selling data to brokers the same as authoritarian regimes might be? The question remains whether this move genuinely enhances our safety or merely changes the nature of the threat. In the modern age, the digital breadcrumbs you drop are more valuable than any bread in your pantry. See, in this world, esteemed U.S. data brokers know more about you than your own mother, cataloging up to 1,500 data points per person. 1,500. That's an Orwellian sum. But this depth of surveillance is not confined within national borders. Both domestic and international interests have the means to acquire comprehensive dossiers on virtually anyone who left digital footprints. And by the way, nothing stops China or Russia or anyone else from handing over a boatload of money to data brokers in the US and getting exactly what they want. The issue of data potentially reaching government hands is widespread. Both US and international firms have been accused of mishandling user data. And it's not just them, it's everywhere. Remember the Twitter employee who played courier for Saudi secrets? Or the thriving marketplace of geolocation data that tracks your every move? When it comes to your online presence, it's a wide net and everyone's swimming in it. And if you truly think about this, it's not just Chinese companies like TikTok towing the line of Beijing's laws on U.S. turf. Think about some American bigwigs. Think Tesla.
So we want to show people, that, most importantly, that go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. And I think it's something that we must do, and we can do, and that we will do.
Tesla has plans and its own international base in China. So they dance a similar step in China, playing nice with the local powers that be. This paranoia over TikTok's data dealings opens a can of worms where practically every tech entity, US or otherwise, could be guilty by association with China. Think about this. Your smart appliances, pharmaceuticals, personal protective equipment, computer chips, and other products are all assembled over there. It could be anything from your smartphone to your toaster. If it's got a chip, it's probably stamped with a Made in China tag. This entangles everything tech in a murky narrative of digital codependency and makes it vulnerable. If national security is the yardstick, then the tech world's in a collective headlock, struggling to square up to the implications of its Chinese ties. The problem of keeping our online information safe isn't just about one company or one country. Even big American companies located in the old US of A, like Equifax or Anthem, have been hacked, with cyber thieves stealing tons of personal data, and these hacks coming from all over the world, including China, Russia, and North Korea. What's more, US companies collect and share more data than we even fathom. 1,500 data points. And no offense, the US of A's love of capitalism and being a do-gooder for every stockholder doesn't exactly make me feel good about that. It's apparent the deeper you dig, the clearer it becomes. We need protection, a digital fortress, not just a fence around our personal data. And it isn't just about TikTok or any other single entity. It's a collective security effort that needs to be mounted across all fronts, regardless of where these data collecting whores set up shop. And as you'll find out in the upcoming episode, where we cover the specifics of the law, this law as it stands doesn't even come close to building that fortress. Hell, as you'll see, if there was a fence, this law might just knock it down. Now, you might wonder why I'm diving deep into what might seem like just another typical snafu out of Washington. And that's a legitimate question. But here's the thing. We're zooming through life at a breakneck pace, bombarded by an onslaught of events every single second. It's all too easy to overlook the significance of a single issue amid this deluge. This bill isn't just about your ability to swipe to the next video in a marathon of doom scrolling. See, TikTok isn't just another social media platform. It's a behemoth that's reshaping social interactions and driving substantial economic activities. The looming threat of a ban or forced sale raises major free speech concerns for its nearly 170 million American users who see it as a crucial expressive outlet. Moreover, about 7 million businesses use TikTok for marketing, contributing an estimated $24 billion to the U.S. economy each year. It's hard to fathom what these staggering numbers mean and what the broader consequences of potentially disrupting this vibrant ecosystem may be. There's high legal and political stakes. The debate surrounding TikTok's future is loaded with legal and political implications that could redefine what we see, hear, and follow. Critics, including Representative Ro Khanna, argue that a ban would violate First Amendment rights and doubt the legislation's legal tenacity. They're pushing for less restrictive measures that safeguard free speech. Meanwhile, TikTok users and creators aren't just spectators, they're actively protesting, making their voices heard at the Capitol and through their representatives. But there's global implications to this. Internationally, the stakes are just as high. China's Commerce Minister Wang Wentao has expressed strong opposition to any forced sale of TikTok, particularly concerning transfer of pivotal technologies like TikTok's sophisticated algorithm. Its algorithm is key to the platform's ability to tailor viral content. This standoff threatens not just US-China relations, but could also set off wider repercussions in the global tech market, possibly triggering a trade conflict that could ensnare other tech firms. This isn't just another policy debate. It's a pivotal moment that could shape the digital landscape and redefine global tech dynamics for years to come. The implications are as vast as they are profound. There's really two huge questions that need to be answered here. Will a solution emerge that secures free speech and economic interests without undermining national security, or are we witnessing the dawn of a new era, marked by digital iron curtains and dividing the tech world along geopolitical lines? We'll discuss more in the upcoming episode. As always, thanks for taking the journey with me. Hope to see you again. I want to thank you for taking some time out of your day today and listening to the show. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you want to learn more about the topics discussed in this episode, check out our show notes at my website, jburkshow.podbean.com. And don't forget to subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, or wherever you enjoy your favorite podcast so you never miss out. You can also follow us at JBurk Show on Twitter and Instagram, and JBurk17 on TikTok for the latest updates and going-ons behind the scenes. If you enjoyed the show, please leave a review. It helps us improve and grow the show, and each and every one of you has such an impact on that, and I can't thank you enough. Join us next time, and remember,
it won't always be a straight line, but take the journey and escape a while for thoughtful excursions into the world of ideas across media, politics, technology, pop culture, and all realms of civic life.
You're listening to the With Jay Burke Show.